Shalom, Yasharala. This is your brother Dawada from GMS St. Petersburg, Florida, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, I can pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to touch on this here, this here article, which basically, pretty much spells out, the same things that, myself and, a lot of the other brothers have been telling you about, America and their ways, like we always been bringing out that, America's Babylon the Great, and it's being headed by who? The Edomites, the so-called white man. All right. The so-called white man is, basically the devil. You know what I'm saying? And you go into that word devil, what does it mean? The deceiver. Right. And so looking at these things, and letting you know about these things and keeping you up to date with this Venezuela thing, as far back as, like I said, as far back as, my channel's been around, I've been touching on this here Venezuela stuff, as a slow build to where we at now. But nevertheless, this isn't anything new. The so-called white man doesn't have any new tactics or new ways of going about things. This is why it's so easy to pretty much, see a lot of the things that he's doing now, because for one, he getting sloppy. Two, hey, more importantly, the Most High gave us the eye to see these things, all right, and understand these things. But nevertheless, it's coming to a point in time where, like the scriptures say in Revelation 12:12, the devil has come down to you having great wrath, because he has but short time. So, at the very end all be all, when you first start doing something, you might be taking your time, let's say you building a house or whatever, whatnot, you got a time limit to do it in, and the time limit, let's say it's 2 years, when you first get out there, the first week that you out there, you might, take your time and, set things up perfectly, just how you need to have things set up and make sure everything is just perfect to the T. You spend extra time, setting things up in how do I say, in order, but nevertheless, when it gets down time to, how do you say, delivery day or crunch time, now you showing up to the work site and you just jumping right on in, you're not getting time to, okay, let me get my coffee and warm up my coffee, whatever, whatnot, and get the radio on or whatever, whatnot. You just get into the job site to get things done, and at that point in time, you might, because you're rushing, you might overlook certain things or whatever, whatnot. You're not becoming as careful and detailed in the things that you're doing. Same with the so-called white man. All right. As he's seeing that his, kingdom, his time frame is real short. All right. It's raining. He's doing what? He's coming out the woodwork, like the scriptures say. The devil is coming down to you having great wrath because he has but a short time. All right. But nevertheless, I want to get into this here article, which it fully breaks down. It's quite a lengthy article, but I'll try to read through it as fast as possible. But nevertheless, it pretty much entails all the things that, like I said, the brothers have been bringing out, especially about this so-called white man, how he's a deceiver. But nevertheless, as far as, how they say, false flags or these so-called fake events and things like that, just like in, like I was saying, in Iraq and all these different places in which they'll come out and they'll talk about all these different locations as well. But, we see the same things happening over and over again. So it's easier to spot, what I'm saying, based off of experience, So reading this here article, it says, we're being lied into war again by Lee Camp. It says, when I was 23, we invaded Iraq. I wasn't sure it was based on lies, but something deep down in me told it was based on lies. Kind of like if your blind date shows up and you notice, I guess we'll put she has a 2004 flip phone. It seems vaguely worrisome and no explanation she can haughtily supply will put you at ease. Plus someone else who acts like it's normal also becomes suspect, basically like saying like, yo, man, you don't see this like y'all all in, let's say you in traffic or whatever, you riding down the street, you know what I'm saying? You see somebody like driving and they got a damn, a blindfold on while they driving, while they drinking a beer, and it's a 12-year-old little kid, you over there look over at them. It's like, this should be something we could just both look at, not have nothing to say about it and just be like, yo, dog, we both come to the same conclusion. Like, what the hell is going on here? But, you riding in that same car, you look over at the person, the little kid over there driving and drinking with the eyes tied up, and the person next to you be like, okay, just keep it rolling. Like, yo, man, there's something wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? And if I sit here and accept what you got going on and I'm being delusional like you, there's something seriously going wrong here. We got to address it. It says the invasion of Iraq just felt like it was a lie to me, and it turned out that I was right. And it was a lie, and that the entirety of the mainstream media and our government was either wrong or lying, and most of the time both. Now our government and our media is trying their damnness to lie us into another war. This one with Venezuela. same thing we've been saying. It says, they tell us Venezuelan people are desperate for necessities like toothpaste, while independent journalists show piles of affordable toothpaste in Caracas. All right, and that's also another thing that you have to watch for, as far as, you know, with situations like this, you're gonna have propaganda coming from all different ways, you know. So, just do your due diligence to look into these things before you know, go in and just, you know, following after whatever people are saying on certain things, you know. Just like in this situation here, you know, you have a lot of people in America who believe that Nicolas Maduro is starving his people out, trying to kill his people, and so on and so forth. And the only remedy is what? Send basically, not to say American troops over there, but send America to go over there and intervene and bring so-called humanitarian aid, which will turn into a war zone. All right. It says, and notice here, like, and they'll probably go back into it a little bit more about this toothpaste deal. You know, it's always something so small and minuscule as that, but the how do I say, the fix for it is always way blown out of proportion. You know, it's like saying, you know, you need to throw away you at the house and you eating on a paper plate. You need to throw away the paper plate and take the trash out, right? Not a big deal. But your way of fixing, instead of just throwing a paper plate away and taking the trash out, you decide to throw a nuclear bomb on the house. Like, yeah, we got rid of the trash. Like, yo, it wasn't even really warranted for all that. You know, you're doing some overkill. Like, if you just want to throw it away, get up, throw it away. That's the end all be all. You know, you just made a huge deal out of nothing. You know what I'm saying? And you worried about the little bit of trash the paper plate's gonna cause. Now, look, you didn't destroy the whole, the whole city, really. All right. Nevertheless, it says, and even if they don't have toothpaste, this hardly seems like a good reason for America to begin dropping our long-range bad decisions on the heads of innocent people, turning a town into an impact crater for the sake of a battle to stop gingivitis seems a bit extreme. Like I said, it's the same shit that they be doing. You know, Bashar al-Assad, he's over there starving out his people. What was their way of combating that? You know, oh well, let's go over there and send guns and aid over to the so-called moderate rebels. All right, maybe they'll go over there and kill them. You know, and what happens? You have a long war with so-called terrorists and stuff over there, where you got people just over there bombing, you know, and civilian areas. All right, now you have a massive influx of refugees and things like that. You know, so your solution for your problem is way out warranted for the situation you got. You see what I'm saying? It's like, again, you got to have a little simple job of you running at the races. You know, they got that little small gun and they shoot up in the air to start the races, you know. But instead of doing that, you trying to drop a nuclear bomb. Like, bro, we don't need all that. We just need something loud enough for all of us to hear when to start, you know. But continuing on, it says the mainstream media and nearly the entirety of the U.S. government tells us Juan Guaido is the interim president, even though he was never elected to that position. And the current president is still leading the Venezuelan government and military. All right. So again, touching on this Juan Guaido guy, which is a American-backed basically puppet, you know, to go in and steal this country. You know, everything is out here on the table. Everything is it's not even a conspiracy, or it's not, you know, hidden behind certain things. They just clearly flat out saying exactly what they're doing, you know. But what we in such a state of drinking that Babylon juice here in America and stuff like that most people, they're distracted with other things like the R. Kelly trial going on and all these other things going on in the world. They don't care about these things, or they think that these things don't have any meaning to them, or that's them over there. What that got to do with me, you know? But then you wonder why, you know, if you was just to go break down how much of your money is going to, your tax dollars is going into basically funding this military and what they going over there doing with it, you'd be like, well, wait a minute, hold up. You see what I'm saying? Like, why am I over here funding all of this stuff? Like, yo, and we over here starving, poor, whatever, whatnot. We could be using this money to fix our own stuff, but yet and still we using this money to go over there and bomb and steal another country for the elites over here to reap the benefits off of, you see? But continuing on, it says, so I guess this interim is the time between Guaido being a nobody and the time when he goes back to being nobody, but now he gets to tell women at parties, you know, I used to be an interim president. All right, now looking at this here article, this is one of the stories I was telling you about pretty much the setup of them about the stage a coup attempt, you know. But nevertheless, you know, now is all being out in the open. You know, this isn't conspiracies and things like that, because why? You know, there was so much footage of the so-called setup of these things happening before the attack even happened. Too many people with cell phones putting it on the internet, just streaming whatever's going on. So before the attack could even happen, you know what was going on. All right. And then as they, you know, if you was to go into this here article, you know, they pretty much got video. Like I said, they have video of them before the attack even started when they was setting up. All right. They also have video of basically these protesters, which again, America's using the Venezuelan people. They're using Venezuelan people to so-called defect over to the Colombian side to basically start all these fires. You see what I'm saying? And then blame it on Nicolas Maduro's government. All right. But nevertheless, this didn't happen like that. All right. Well, and it's out in the news now that let me just read this title. It says Venezuelan aid truck torched by protesters. MSN finally admits, but of course, Maduro is still to blame. So this is basically the propaganda that they're out there pushing. Like, yo, they have proof, they have evidence that this is not what Nicolas Maduro is doing. This is not the guy that they painting him out to be. It seems like all the shit that they trying to throw on him is just like pretty much falling off of him because it's all based on lies. But yet and still, they still pushing forth with this agenda. Yeah, we know we set fire to our own aid trucks and try to blame it on him to steal his country, and y'all found out about it, but we don't give a fuck. We gonna still blame him. We still gonna take his shit. What you gonna do about it? You see what I'm saying? It says the mainstream media also informs us that the Venezuelan military set U.S. aid trucks on fire when video shows opposition forces doing it. Furthermore, the idea of Venezuela taking aid from the countries whose sanctions are crushing them would be like the Standing Rock Sioux accepting gift packages from the construction crews, Swiss cheesing their land to lay down the Dakota Access Pipeline. And that's pretty much, pretty much a good analogy. Let me go back. It says, the mainstream media also informs that the Venezuelan military set U.S. aid trucks on fire when video shows the opposition was doing it. So the first, how do I say, not to say the first proof, but as you see, this is not conspiracy. These are headline articles. You see what I'm saying? But yet and still you have Donald Trump talking about what fake news, so on and so forth. And they, when you go into like, on YouTube and you go to like RT or Press TV or whatever, whatnot, they'll be like, oh, this is state run media from Russia or Iran or something like that. But they don't tell you about American state run propaganda. All right. This is your CNNs, your MSNs and so on and so forth. You see? But these are the ones that's informing the American people about these things and putting this mindset into the American people. Just like what we're reading these other accounts down here at the bottom. But for what? To prep the people into going into war. Because why? It's an information war. You see what I'm saying? They have to sit here and how do I say, okay it in your mind before they go over there and do it. Because they know that if you don't support it for so long, you'll wind up saying something about it, more or less to say. All right. It'll wind up disrupting their whole situation, just like with 9/11 and Saddam Hussein. Maybe the elites, they wanted him dead. They wanted to go over there and do some shit and take all of his shit. But to the regular American people who would have to be paying their tax dollars for this and sending their kids out here to war, all right, getting behind the bandwagon, if they don't see no how do I say, benefit for them and no reason for them to go and spend this extra money for some shit they're not going to benefit off of, they're not going to get behind it. But nevertheless, when you have something like, let's say 9/11, weapons of mass destruction, he's killing his own people. The American people are like, oh, these are brutal dictators. We have to go over there and kill them. It's our job and our duty to do so. But they're not mentioning the fact of what it is that America's over here doing. Just like in this scenario, they're over here blaming Nicolas Maduro being such a bad person and starving out his people, not receiving aid. But you don't realize that the fact that this economy is collapsing over here is due to the sanctions put on Venezuela by America. All right. So in reality, the Venezuelan people over there are pretty much how do I say, being affected by economic woes based off of attacks from America, not Nicolas Maduro, not the government over there. All right. And all these other situations that they blame it on them, like you have the power outage. All right. That's something else that I was heavily looking into in that situation. And I'm like, okay, why are these people tripping over a power outage, especially if this happens all the time? But come to find out, it's over a large area, and not just that. You had people like in the time of the power outage, they still kind of going through some of it. But Juan Guaido tweeting out basically like not to say threats, but like, yo, man, hey, the lights will come back on if y'all do such and such and so forth. It's pretty much blatant and in your face of what's going on, but the American people here are so still asleep, you know what I'm saying? They don't understand. They don't even want to understand what's going on. All right. But, the real reality of all these things is what? This is just pretty much a preview of what's set to come here in America. All right. All these things are about to take place here in America. All right. And, it's pretty much like a practice run over in Venezuela, comparably to the, the real big deal of what's going to happen over here. So that's just a small percentage of what it's going to actually look like throughout the America. All right. Let me see if I can get unfrozen here. But nevertheless, going back into this article, it says, unless the boxes are filled with industrial paper towels to help clean up oil spills, I fail to see how it would be beneficial. Sometimes if you do indeed to have if you do indeed have to look a gift horse in the mouth, or should I say a gift dog. But nevertheless, continue on, it says, this is not the first time our government and our media have conspired to drag American people into war with another country or help create a coup that would inevitably have disastrous results. So I thought this would be a prime moment to go through the top 4 greatest hits. All right. Now, again, hey, like the scriptures say, judge a tree by its fruits. All right. When you go to court, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like if you, you'll hear on TV and, certain court cases, whatever, whatnot, or like hell, the El Chapo case, right? They be like, well, based on your prior history, we're going to have to make sure your ass is highly locked down. You know what I'm saying? We're going to put you in a high rise ass prison on the top floor so your ass, or on the middle floor, so you can't just dig a hole through the ground because your prior history shows us this the shit that you do. All right. It is what it is, It's like, yo, last season, this here tree was springing up apples. I don't see no different coming out of this season. You see what I'm saying? Like, yo, if it gave us apples last time, it's going to give us apples this time. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to just start all of a sudden, go from giving us apples to giving us oranges. You see what I'm saying? Like, yo, you discerning the type of damn tree wrong. You see what I'm saying? Nobody has a damn banana tree in their yard and be expecting one year for it to just sprout out strawberries. The same here, like scripture say, judge a tree by its fruits. All right. And looking at American fruits, or these Edomites, their fruits, like, yo, you fit the description, first and foremost, of being Esau Edom, but you furthermore fit the description of being the devil that the Bible speak about, all right? And we looking and reading, reading your track record right here and right now, all right? So we going through these, I guess it's top 4. It says number 4, the Spanish-American War. This is widely considered to be the birth of modern media propaganda because it was the first war actually started by the media. Newspapers fabricated atrocities and never-ending quest for more readers, all right, just for their own personal gain. They just started making up these here stories, all right, which had real effects on people's lives, all right. At the New York Times, and as the New York Times noted, this is sensationalistic reporting of the sinking of the American battleship Maine in Havana Harbor on February 15th, 1898, and all other egregious reporting leading up to the Spanish-American War may have been considered merely cartoonish if it hadn't led to a major international conflict. I think maybe the New York Times got that quote confusion with this mission statement, cartoonishly dragging America into a major international conflict since 1851. All right. So basically, this is pretty much, as far as American history go, this is like the start of all these things. All right. This is nothing new. They've been doing this from way back in the damn day. All right. It says, number 3, the Vietnam War. Sure, most of us know about the catastrophic Vietnam War was precipitated by the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which the U.S. naval vessels were fired upon by villainous North Vietnamese torpedo boats. Following that skirmish, Defense Secretary Robert McNamara recommended that President Johnson retaliate. The full force Vietnam War had begun, but most Americans still don't know that there was no Gulf of Tonkin incident unless you count the U.S. naval ship literally firing their weapons at weather events they saw on the radar. The 2003 document Fog of War finally revealed the truth. Former Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara confessed that the Gulf of Tonkin attack did not actually happen. So again, here you go again, another false flag attack to persuade the people to accept going into war, all right, for the benefit of these elites, all right, and really at the demise of the people, because the people are the ones losing out on pretty much all of these things, all right, their lives, their families, a way of life, and still being under the pressure of the so-called white man, all right. It says, let me see, because some of this I want to skip out on, well, shit, let me read this part. It says, this paragraph says, the lies of our government, followed by the founding credulous reporting from our media, led to the deaths of 58,000 U.S. service members and as many as 3.8 million Vietnamese. So shit, about 4 million people died based off of these Edomites, these Babylonians over here lying, these so-called white people lying. All right, all these people wound up dying because of their bullshit lies, all right? But yet people still want to hold them up because they're going around spreading democracy and freedom. This is what democracy and freedom looks like when they be spreading across the earth. Free doom. You see what I'm saying? They bringing it over there under their lies and their deceit, the humanitarian aid. Like I posted a video on that not too long ago talking about how they use humanitarian aid as a weapon, all right? And then they also propaganda as a weapon, all right? They use these tools to infiltrate your mind and have a war in your mind to okay all these different things, and they go in with so-called humanitarian aid to arm the opposition, all right, and then they just create death and destruction. It says number two, the Iraq War. Of course, there's the most obvious lie about Iraq, i.e. Saddam Hussein has so many weapons of mass destruction. He would often use one to scrub hard to reach places while in the tub. But that wasn't the only falsehood manifested to bring about our complete annihilation of the sovereign nation Saddam ruled over. All right. Now, first and foremost, all right, we being Israelites, we don't give a damn about none of these other nations. All right. It's only about Israel. We don't give a damn about these Saudi Arabians, in this case, these Iraqis, Russians. We don't give a fuck about none of them. You know what I'm saying? First of all, Russians are our enemies too. They Edomites. You see what I'm saying? But we're not on, how do I say, bigging up or putting no kind of light or no limelight on none of these other nations. They all heathens, according to what the scriptures say. All right. Basically, y'all, the Most High, Deuteronomy 7:6, he chose you to be a special people above all the other people on the planet Earth. All right. So in our concerns, these other nations, they all heathens. We don't give a fuck about them. All right. But at the same time, the scripture say what? Love the good and hate the evil. You know what I'm saying? Basically call a spade a spade. You know what I'm saying? You see some wrong shit, call that shit out. You see what I'm saying? But nevertheless, talking about this Saddam Hussein, let me reread that. It says, but it wasn't the only falsehood manifested to bring about a complete annihilation of the sovereign nation Saddam ruled over. All right. So again, not trying to prop him up or anything like that, or shine no kind of light on him. We don't give a fuck about him. But at the same time, like, that's kind of fucked up. You're gonna go over there and still a sovereign, like, that ain't even our business. How long he been up in office over there, if the people like him or not, that ain't our business. First of all, and to be truthfully honest, like, you goddamn Americans is the one who put him up in power. And you the ones who kept him in power. You the ones who was supplying him with this goddamn, like, when you go really far into it, the chemical weapons they was talking about, he was gassing the Kurds with, so on and so forth. Like, wait a minute, how y'all know he got chemical weapons? Oh, y'all got the receipts from selling it to him. Right. You stupid ass Americans sold him these chemical weapons to do your dirty work, to go kill these other motherfuckers for you. But now all of a sudden, when it benefits you, you want to shit on his ass. Like, wait a minute, come on, man. You see what I'm saying? And all the lies and the propaganda that was put behind Saddam Hussein, I was one of these people who was brainwashed by this, thinking this man was the damn devil, man. You know what I'm saying? How horrible of a person he was. But as time go by and I look at just the facts of the matter, judging the tree by its fruits. Let's look at Iraq before 9/11. Now let's look at Iraq after Saddam Hussein, or during Saddam Hussein and then after Saddam Hussein. Which was a better place for the people living there? You see what I'm saying? Iraq is definitely not a better place for the civilians living there today after Saddam Hussein than it was before him. All right. These are just the facts. Again, you may have your feelings about him, but he's such a this and that. Yeah, but you got to understand, you being brainwashed by these motherfuckers about these people. You don't know Saddam Hussein first and foremost. Just like I don't know Bin Laden and this and that. Like, yo, man, Bin Laden to me, for all I know, he could be just a goddamn boogeyman, some made up ass name, because I don't really know him. I don't really know, this and that. So, hey, man, he could, like, what's that shit called? Iron Man, right? Go on YouTube and search up the Mandarin, right? Just YouTube the Mandarin. It's an Iron Man scene. It break all that shit down. It make a lot of sense. Like, yo, man, they supplying you with a so-called boogeyman, all right? And people will be like, well, why would they do that? Why would they? Like, bro, we reading documented history facts of this shit going on. Not just documented history facts coming from these people, but from the actual people who was doing the setup to begin with. They coming out confessing like, yeah, this shit didn't actually happen like that. Yeah, that shit didn't actually happen like that. Just like now we have so-called history books talking about how Hitler wound up burning down the Reichstag building. All right. But before, I guess around that time in history, that was such a conspiracy. Why would he burn down his own shit? Why would anybody burn down their own shit? Like, yeah, just basically, go ahead and brainwash the people and okaying them to accept their next move. You know what I'm saying? Or why would certain people do such and such to do this and that to their own people? Because it's the benefit that they get out of it. We looking at these goddamn maniacs. And another thing you got to understand, you're not dealing with goddamn regular human beings. All right. And if it make you feel a little better in your mind to be able to cope with and understand this shit, like, you're not dealing with no shit from this here world, man. That's one thing that our people really need to get in their mind. You're not dealing with white people, man, or so-called white people, man. You dealing with the spiritual devil, man. Like, you dealing with, this is the spirit that you're dealing with. Esau, Edom. He was created to be this motherfucker, man. He the most vile, vicious, atrocious, goddamn beast that the scripture be talking about. You see what I'm saying? So when you see him in real life, you can't just be trying to think of him as no regular ass person. Like, for instance, when they be over here, tying up and drinking blood of little kids and having sex with little kids and shit like that, you know, as a Jake, you be like, yo, dog, what kind of fucking person is this? I don't know if I want to believe that shit. This is some far out shit. I don't think nobody would actually do that shit. You're right. In your mind, a sane fucking person mind, that shit is hard to believe. But you're not dealing with these regular motherfucking people. You're dealing with Esau Edom. All right? Who the Bible calls the damn devil, man. All right? You got to understand, just like the scripture say, judge a tree by its fruits, man. We're not just saying this because we feel some type of way about the so-called white man. Like, yo, we assessing his history and looking at all the different things he's done on the planet Earth. All right? And then basically casting out, you know, telling him what his judgment going to be based off of the shit that he did. All right? Let me go back into this here article. It says, there were other Slovakia. It says there were others, such as the idea that Saddam was connected to Al Qaeda and perhaps played a role in 9/11 in the 9/11 attack. William Safire in the New York Times in May 2002 wrote, Muhammad Atta detained, destined to be the leading September 11 suicide hijacker, was reported last fall by Czech intelligence to have met at least once with Saddam Hussein's espionage chief in the Iraqi embassy. Yes, Safire was able to polish a load of bullshit so thoroughly it would sparkle like a sapphire. And that column is still up on the Times website without correction or retraction. I would say the Times is only useful for covering the bottom of the bird cage, but I fear the paper would lie your pet cockatoo into an ill-advised invasion, killing millions. You know, just homeboy just being, you know, joking with some extra shit. But nevertheless, the point is, like, yo, you propagated in people's minds that certain things was going on. All right, you published these stories, all right, out in the news and the media, made people believe these things. People sent their kids off to war. People was okaying the taxes and whatever whatnot to go over there and invade these countries and kill all these people. Just to come to find out that the same people who was advocating this here war, trying to sell this here war to the people, will come back out and say, you know what? We never found weapons of mass destruction. We never found chemical weapons. They never found, you know, babies that was thrown out of the incubators in hospitals. They never found none of that shit that they was claiming to be. They never found a connection between Saddam and 9/11. They never found none of the shit that they was accusing him of. Now, this is coming out of the same mouths of the same people who was trying to convince everybody else that this was a scenario, you know, like the Donald Rumsfelds and so on and so forth, George Bush, you know, way later, you know, you can look this up, you know, way later in George Bush's presidency, after a while, somebody asked him, you like, well, what does Saddam Hussein got to do with 9/11? And he was like, well, nothing. I didn't say he had anything to do with 9/11. Like, well, wait a minute. A couple months ago, you were saying this shit, but now all of a sudden you saying out of your own same mouth, you know what I'm saying? The story started with you, but now all of a sudden you're saying that story don't even exist. But now you have all these people running around saying that, you know, this didn't happen that way, that didn't happen that way, this here is a cover-up, but they're all conspiracy theorists, or they're all crazy or whatever, whatnot, not to be believed, but the source of where the lie came from is the same people who telling you that this is a goddamn lie, but yet the people here are so gone in this Babylon juice, they don't see, you know, the writings on the damn wall. All right? Let me keep reading. It says, there's a good one. It says fake news and post-truth politics. What about those Iraqi weapons of mass destruction? See, these are things nobody wants to talk about. Oh, maybe we got one thing wrong. But this is still fake news. And not only that, people died over this shit. You see what I'm saying? You went over there, like, we literally still at war with the same country that, like, years later, we talking about, yeah, we fucked up, bro. Yeah, they lied about the shit. Yeah, they made a huge mistake. But yet they still ain't pulled up out of Iraq like that. They still over there. You see what I'm saying? Nevertheless, continuing on, it says, but the propaganda didn't stop there. There was also the anthrax attacks following 9/11. Anthrax was mailed to press outlets and offices of politicians. Now, I believe that they're not going to tell you in this here article, but the shit that they was actually talking about was anthrax. I don't know if it was actually anthrax or this was just some bogus ass name they came up with, you know, some new shit. But whatever the so-called shit that was in it, or so-called powder or whatever it was, like, yo, man, there's like a, you know how you buy whatever you buy, like a car or whatever, it's got a serial number to it. You know, you got your VIN number, but you got the serial number and everything like that to it, right? So you could trace it back to where it come from, right? The chemical that they was finding and they was calling anthrax, like, yo, dog, the people who got the patent for that and the only people who has that shit is America. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of shit, especially like when you look at these drone attacks and certain things like this. Like, yo, the only people with this type of technology the only people who got that shit is America. So the source of it, you see what I'm saying? If you're the only people with this type of technology, like, it's obvious who it is. You see what I'm saying? But it says anthrax anthrax was mailed to press outlets and to the offices of politicians. To this day, many people still believe it has something to do with Iraq or Al Qaeda because of the award-winning national embracement, like Brian Ross. Brian Ross at ABC News wrote anthrax in his tainted letter sent to Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle was laced with bentonite, and bentonite is a trademark of Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein biological weapons program. Now, I believe that that's one of the chemicals. It might not be that. It might be that VX2 agent or whatever, whatnot. But like I said, man, these damn weapons that they accused Saddam Hussein of having, you know what I'm saying? They be like, yeah, we know you got them. But the fact that they know that they got him is because they got the receipts from selling it to his ass. You see what I'm saying? They was using him as a scapegoat the whole fucking time. You see what I'm saying? But not really going too far into this whole Iraqi deal. But just, hey, look, it's the proof in the pudding. This ain't nothing new, man. Try the same shit over in Iraq, Syria, Venezuela, Libya, so on and so forth. You know, Vietnam. You see what I'm saying? It's the same shit. It says all those factual claims were considerably false. Hold on, let me go back. As Saloon so clearly put it, all of those factual claims were completely false, demonstrably and unequivocally so, unquestionably so. Yet neither the ABC nor Ross have ever retracted, corrected, clarified, or explained these fraudulent reports. So again, after blaming, you know, putting that out there to the whole world and people thinking about this, you know, you can still ask people to this day, yo, what's anthrax? Oh, that was that shit Saddam Hussein and bin Laden was sending these motherfuckers over here trying to kill everybody, had us all scared. You know what I'm saying? They would never, you know, go back to fix it. Like, oh, that was the shit that the American government was out here scaring people with to make people believe that there was an actual threat and that we need to go over here and invade a country just so that they can get the spoils of war and they benefit from off of it. And your children and stuff like that take the brunt of it. You know, they're the ones losing their lives and their limbs and stuff like that. But yet the government is the one that's reaping these benefits. All right. It says, as you expect, the following blatant false reporting. As you would expect, following that blatantly false reporting, Brian Ross did not lose his job. In fact, he wasn't put out to pasture from ABC until last year when he reported that fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn was ready to testify that Trump told him to contact the Russians during the campaign. That report, much like the rumors of Brian Ross' journalistic integrity, turned out to be absolutely false. All right. In my professional opinion, anyone who has anything to do with selling, perpetrating or planning the Iraq war should never again hold a position higher than an assistant trainee. All right, I'm gonna skip that. Basically, he's just going in some, you know, oh, they shouldn't be having no job. I'm trying to just get to the point. All right, yeah, I think it's this. It says, unlike Defense Secretary McNamara, who admitted the Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened, we don't have a smoking gun showing that the Bush administration created these lies to get us into Iraq. Oh wait, turns out the paper shredder at Bush Oval Office was on strike for a higher minimum wage in 2002. In fact, we do have a memo written by Bush Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld a year before U.S. forces unleashed a reign of terror on the Iraqi people. All right, this was before, you know, they actually went into war. All right. You know, you can actually see, you know, video footage of these same people talking about this whole shit before 9/11 even happened. They're like, well, how are we going to get into Iraq? What do you think about Iraq? Oh, Iraq is still a go. Well, what are we going to do? Well, we don't know. We got to convince the people that, you know, homeboy got a whole lot of shit popping off or homeboy's a major threat. And then all of a sudden they go over there. All right. But then, like I said, this was all before September 11th. All right. It says, it says, we do have a memo written by Bush Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld a year before U.S. forces unleashed a reign of terror on the Iraqi people. His memo was about war with Iraq, stated how start U.S. discovers Saddam connection on September 11th or to anthrax attacks, or maybe a dispute over weapons of mass destruction inspections. I'm not sure what's more striking, that the memo exists or that it sounds like Bush boys planned a massive international battle the same way a broke 35-year-old map out of his bad novel that he had sure is a ticket of his mom's basement. Again, homeboy writes a lot of so-called bullshit jokes in here, but it says, point is, multiple completely false stories led the groundwork for an invasion of Iraq that left well over a million people dead. All right. Going down, let me read this. It says, media is complicit in manufacturing consent for Venezuela regime change, but that's nothing new. And that's what we're going into. Number one, bombing of Syria. President Bashar al-Assad gassed his own people, thereby guaranteeing more American involvement. And he did it just days after Donald Trump had told the Pentagon to begin withdrawing troops from Syria. At least that's the story the corporate media repeated on loop for at least a month, only pausing every 10 minutes to try desperately to get us all to buy more things with Baconator in the name, or to seek out a harder penis. Again, homeboy just need to stick to the facts of the deal. But nevertheless, as you've seen with the Syria attack, or the so-called chemical attacks, they first started, first they tried the shit with Barack Obama, but then they did it with Donald Trump, I believe 2 or 3 times, but they was reporting before the shit even happened. Oh, if this happens, then this is going to happen. Then they got down to the withdrawal of the troops in Syria, but then all of a sudden, Bashar al-Assad gassed his own people again. Like, well, wait a minute, you got to understand that Bashar al-Assad had the rest of the terrorists pretty much surrounded, which was the American people. That was the American, CIA-backed militias, which that was a big scuffle over that because they wanted to go in and finish him out, but America wasn't letting them go in there and the so-called finish off the terrorists. He had this big scuffle, and America did what? To prolong the war, try to stage another chemical attack. All right. But nevertheless, all these things was being exposed. All right. Continuing on, it says, so we're expected to believe Assad did one thing that would ensure more U.S. involvement just as he was about to win his war. It's kind of like how when I'm about to win a fist fight, I often poke myself repeatedly in the eye. It's just to keep it exciting. Famed journalists Seymour Hersh and Robert Fisk have done great work showing that the chemical attack never happened. But there's a new update. Just 2 weeks ago, the BBC producer came forward and said that the Duma Syria attack footage was staged. And again, that was another thing that I covered here on this channel. Because again, there was footage of all this going on before the attack even happened. All right. They was showing how they was setting the whole thing up and so on and so forth. All right. It says his tweet said that after 6 months of investigation, he can prove that no fatalities occurred in the hospital. Yet our breathlessly inept mainstream American media with little to no evidence ran around saying there was a chemical attack. These poor people, they don't have toothpaste. Either we must bomb. They don't have toothpaste either. We must bomb them to help them. All right. And it's kind of funny that he used that little rhetoric like that, because that's the shit that I be saying, oh, they ain't got no toothpaste or something, like something as small as that. Oh, these motherfuckers got some meat stuck in their teeth and they were all out of toothpicks. So in order to help them out, we got to bomb the whole country, because that's exactly what America be. That's they woodwork. You see what I'm saying? It says, the overreaching point here is that we've replaced our media with stenographers to the ruling elite long ago. The ruling class comes up with a lie to manufacture American consent for its all-American war crimes, and that's how this damn devil keep getting along so far. Well, it's all according to the Most High's time, but nevertheless, as far as these other nations and things like that, hey, everybody else know what's going on, but the majority of these damn Americans here, that's why they call you stupid Americans. Y'all don't know shit. Y'all are so proud. Y'all be walking around like this and that. Y'all don't realize y'all the motherfuckers killing everybody. All right. It says the ruling class comes up with a lot to manufacture American consent for its all-American war crimes, and that lie is then sprayed like laminate all over average American citizens. This goes on into such time as many average citizens who question said lies looked at like they have 2 heads, and one of them is covered in rat shit. Hey, basically going into, like I said, homeboy be writing these little jokes, but pretty much make you look like you a goddamn alien when you try to say some shit like, yo, Maduro not trying to kill his own people. America over there trying to kill the president and steal the country. You know what I'm saying? And if you ain't really up on how America get down, you'll get looked at like you got a goddamn dinosaur head growing out your neck. But at the same time, like, you don't want to, recognize this goddamn devil dancing in front of your eyes. Our people keep, pacifying this damn devil and the shit that he doing. All right. Let me just read these last 2 paragraphs real quick. It says, for the journalists who holds the lies across the countries the best awards and private jets and rooftop drinks with mid-level celebrities like Chuck Norris await them. Now we're getting to the point where the actual rulers, the Trump administration, etc., are not even hiding their corruption. Like I said, devils, or like the scripture said, the devils come down to you having great wrath because you know he has but a short time. John Bolton stated on Fox News that the ultimate goal is to steal Venezuelan oil. All right. Now, this has been stated out of Donald Trump's old mouth from before this motherfucker was even president, you know? This is what they was talking about doing from Jump Street. All right. This is nothing new. That's what they was talking about. They was going to go over there and do is just openly steal the oil. All right. When Barack Obama was over there dealing with the situation, he wasn't saying it like that. He was like, well, you know, we got to deal with what's going on and this and that. We got to send aid. We got to help out these situations. And he was, you know, a little more, how do you say, reserved about the situation. You would just think that he just signing some paperwork or trying to help out diplomatically, whatever, whatnot. But Trump and his whole administration, like, yo, fuck them niggas. We finna go right on these niggas and take what they got, bro. That's just, it is what it is. Again, not saying this in no kind of cover up words or you got to read between the lines or you misinterpreting what they saying. Like, no, these motherfuckers, let me read the quote again. It says, John Bolton stated on Fox News that the ultimate goal is to steal Venezuela's oil. Point blank, period. When they saying it out their own mouth, this is not like some, oh, you heard this on RT or you see you following after them Russians. But nah, these the motherfuckers who's doing this shit is the ones telling you that this is what they doing. They not hiding it. You know, you got Mike Pence talking about, yeah, we'd invested $58 billion over there basically to overthrow the damn government. You see what I'm saying? And we're not going to let up. We're going to keep going. And we urge other nations to do the same thing too. If you're not, like what Bush said, if you're not with us, you with the terrorists. All right. It says, but our media continues to tout the propaganda line. Even after Bolton said, you won't see Anderson Cooper or one of the Fox News grand wizards saying Venezuela is undergoing a U.S.-backed coup because we like to steal their oil. And that's pretty true. You know, like I said, you have the main players in this whole situation, like blatantly, openly saying, yo, we about to ride on this nigga and steal his shit. We stealing his oil and we gonna kill this nigga. Right? They openly saying that, but yet the news media is that the majority of the people here is listening to and stuff like that. They hearing what? That Maduro is such a bad guy. He's killing his own people, this and that. I'm like, well, out of all the shit that he claiming America doing to them, he ain't threatening Donald Trump, but it's the other way around. They the ones threatening on him. They the ones trying to fly explosive drones into this dude. They the ones over here putting sanctions on this country and starving the people out. These are the people that's over here doing it. And they're the ones admitting to doing it, saying that we're going to do more. We're not going to let up until he's gone. We're going to back the opposition. We're going to back Juan Guaido. We're going to steal all the resources. We're going to put it in his hands. We're going to send troops over or mercenaries in through Colombia and through Brazil. And we're going to go over there and we're going to stage a coup. And we're going to overthrow the government. And we're going to steal the resources. All right. It says the propaganda line for Venezuela right now is we want to help poor Venezuelans. Well, if you want to help them, then keep America out of their face. Don't force them to have anything to do with the country that came up with the drive-through fried food served in a bucket and opioid nasal sprays. And at no point does anyone look at Donald Trump's presidency and think, wow, that country's really has got things figured out. I hope they bring some of their great decision makers to our doorsteps. And that's exactly what it's like. You know, when you look around, ain't nobody trying to take you know, America's practice and the things that America's doing, kind of, not to say serious, but, you know, as the so-called model that they want to be under. If anything, these people are so-called breaking free from these things. All right. Now I want to read a little bit into this here, situation dealing with the so-called white man, because again, this is just his tactics. This is what's inside of him. All right. He going to keep doing the same thing. He going to do what he was programmed to do. All right. So let me read this in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2. I'm going to start at, verse 5. It says, yea, also, because he transgresses by wine, all right, and going into what? The propaganda that we was just reading about, all right? We just went through what? A top 4 countdown of how they started these wars or invasions, conflicts, battles, people dying based off of what? Propaganda and lies, all right? Transgressing by this here wine. It's just like you at a bar and you with a woman or whatever, whatnot, and y'all drinking, you get all drunk and stuff like that. You can sell her a goddamn bridge in Brooklyn, you know what I'm saying, if she ain't sober enough, you know what I'm saying? When you get to a certain point of inebriation, you start making all kind of decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, let me go drink and drive 100 miles an hour the wrong way down the interstate. All right. The reason people do that is because they're not in their right mind and they can be easily persuaded to do some shit they wouldn't naturally do in a sober mind. All right. The same analogy is being spoken here, but not saying that they actually feeding them alcohol, you know, but it's the same thing. You feeding them some lies to you know, how do you say, fog they rationalism, you know, their rationality. All right. It says, yea, also because he transgressed by one, he is a proud man. All right. Hey, the few, whatever, the Marine, the few are proud, the Marines, you know, these goddamn Americans always, they proud to be an American. There's no place greater than America. We got democracy, this and that. All the problems you got going on here, you got the nerve to say this is the best place on earth when not only is the American government killing its own people, spraying chemicals all on the people and foods and water and just poisoning them all kind of way. You shoot them down in the streets, you know what I'm saying? Cutting off, how do you say, governmental aid and assistance to needy families and things like that. This is what America's doing, but yet and still, he got the so-called say-so to go talk about another person in their nation and what they got going on. And especially when he's the one, like you talking shit about Venezuela and how they starving out the people, but wait, it's your sanctions is the ones that starving out the people over there. But you got the nerve to go over there and blame somebody else, all right? It says, yea, also because he transgressed by one, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And that's exactly what you see going on. We just read multiple accounts of these things going on, and plus you currently see this going on in Venezuela right now. All right, the same thing's going on right now. All right, he enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied. Just like the grave, yo, it's gonna always be people dying as long as there's people being born. Just like the so-called white man, he ain't gonna never be satisfied. You can't never please the so-called white man. He want more, more, and more. This motherfucker is in control of the whole planet, and yet now he trying to go colonize other planets in space and so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? But continuing on, it says, verse 6: Shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? All right, and that's what's going on right now. You having these different countries saying, bruh, we tired of this bullshit. We tired of you over here invading all these countries. Like, yo, you ain't had enough of rape, robbing, and murdering and stealing all these different countries. All right, how long you gonna keep doing this? This is why you see in places like Russia and them standing up, and you also have America saying like, yo, you either with us or you with them, you know, and we urge you to swiftly make a decision who you with, because you have these other people. It's like, yo, man, we tired of jumping on this here bandwagon with y'all ass. We all see what's going on, bro. We don't want to go down with your ass because of the bullshit that you in. All right. It says, woe to him that increases that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Going to all this debt and you know, we had $20-something trillion in debt, and we still increasing our military budget, increasing all kind of this and that for what? To go over here and steal other people's resources and other people's land. All right. How much debt and how much money are you raising into your military to go over here and so-called steal this here oil? How much money are you spending on propaganda pieces and media coverage and all this stuff just to steal some resources and some oil? The stuff that the American taxpayers got to pay for, but they're not gonna reap none of the benefits from it. You see, this is how the so-called white men get down. This is why we call you the damn devil, man. All right, it says, shall not they rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex them, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations, and all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of the blood, and for the violence of the land, and for the city and all that dwell therein. All right, and that's what's basically gonna be America's fate, because these people are gonna get tired of all this shit. They're gonna raise up. The Lord is already working on these the minds of these kings. All right, ultimately they're gonna be raised up against America. All right, and they're gonna all take everything out, pay back America for all the bullshit she did to them. All right. It says, woe to him that coveteth a evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. And this is a prime example of what you got going on right now, because the so-called elites, all right, here in America, want to steal the resources in Venezuela. All right, let's just say hypothetically, you know, this turns out to be another war like Syria. All right, where we go in and so-called invade them and so on and so forth. Like, yo, the American taxpayers, again, is paying for this. The American people are the ones sending their sons and their daughters over there, and they dying for all this here stuff. All right, but at the end of the day, the American people are the ones taking the loss for this. But at the same time, like the scriptures say, you know, all these different nations going to come together and basically spoil America. Everybody blaming, all these Americans based off of what these elites is doing. All right. And more so than that, you regular ass, regular degular ass Edomites that ain't got shit to do with none of this. Bro, you still accountable for this, man. All right. You still accountable when people look around like these goddamn white people. All right. These are your people, man. All right. It says, woe to him that coveteth the evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. All right. So again, like I said, man, you bring that upon your own household and your whole household from the bullshit that you was doing. All right. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish the city with iniquity. All right, and that's exactly what's going on with Venezuela. They're trying to further prop up and build up America and secure the resources for the time of war by stealing and capturing resources in Venezuela, being the oil and the gold. All right, it says, behold, is it not of Yahweh of hosts that the people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for very vanity. All right, now let me grab another little piece real quick, and we're gonna close out. This is in the book of Job, chapter 20. I'm gonna read from verse we'll start at verse 18. Well, let me go up. Let me start at Job 20 and 11. His bones are full of the sin of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. So, hey, from the beginning, man, your deeds is evil all the way from the jump start. All right. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though he spread it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth, yet his meat in his bowels is turned, it is gall of asp within him. You know, homeboy just be, that's his damn special move, right? He got the deceitful ass tongue, man. He slay your ass with either the goddamn physical sword or his goddamn deceitful ass tongue. All right, how we was reading Habakkuk, who transgresses by wine. All right, with the bullshit deceiving tongue that he got. All right, now we want to go over there and spread humanitarian aid, but what's really in them trucks of humanitarian aid? Guns and basically a setup to overthrow their government, bring more chaos to that land. All right. Verse 15. He has swallowed down riches and shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast him out of his belly. He shall suck the poison of asp, and the viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be. And he shall not rejoice therein, because he hath oppressed and forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away a house which he builded not. So, like we was just reading in Habakkuk, woe to him that covet the evil covetousness to his own house. All right, and then also that increasing that which is not his. All right, but what? And built the land, established the land off of iniquity. All right, this is what the so-called white man did, not only here in America, but he's still constantly doing it around the planet Earth. All right, and currently he's doing it right now to our own brethren in Venezuela. All right, verse 19 again. Because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away a house which he builded not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save that which he desire. There shall none of his meat be left, therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come up upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eaten. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow still shall strike him through. All right, so we know that all these things are going to wind up ending into what? The destruction of so-called America, the so-called white man, these Babylonians over here. All right, this is nothing more than the damn snare that's drawing the so-called white man into his own destruction. All right, but nevertheless, I wanted to bring out this here article because it shows the same things that we've been saying over and over and over again. You know, in that article they bring out, how do you say, historic times and situations where not only it wasn't a so-called conspiracy, but they actually came back after the fact and addressed it and say, you know what, this didn't happen the way we said it happened, but yet the repercussions are still there. All right, the so-called white man is still in the position that he's in now, based off of the rape, robbery, and murder that he's committed amongst these people on the planet Earth. All right, this is the same damn devil running amok on the planet Earth. All right, so with that, Lord, when this here lesson was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us his truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, I can pushing his truth and sincerity in the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us his truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, I can pushing his truth and sincerity in the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong and shalom.